I'm Valda Wilson. I will be singing the role of Dido in the upcoming production of Dido and Aeneas with Pinchgut Opera next month. It's really soon. We open at the end of May for 4 performances, and I'm so excited to be coming back. So I've got this list of questions, and let's get straight to it. Okay. My first opera ever and the role. So this was a production with the Savoy Arts Company in Chatswood, a production of The Mikado. I remember being called by a family friend. She was in a panic because they'd lost their Pity Sing, who was actually the lowest of the three little maids from school. And so I said, yeah, I've got time. I mean, I was studying for a Bachelor of Science at the time, studying mathematics, and I did this in the evenings. And I think I put quite a bit more effort into this than into my studies, but it was so much fun. And during this production, I met one of my favorite people in the world, cabaret artist and psychologist, Mr. Simon Ward, who, hello Simon, if you're watching this, you are fabulous and an eternal inspiration to me. Okay, next question. The most challenging aspect of opera role preparation. I think that this changes a lot. I don't want to do cop-out answers for all of these, but I think that my answer to this changes a lot depending on what the role is, what the repertoire is, and what the specific challenges are. I think in general, you can say the tricky thing about it is bringing together all of the threads that go into creating a whole. And depending on the piece, sometimes the more challenging thread will be your character. Sometimes it will be the vocal, the athleticism of it. So for example, in something like Handel that has a lot of then you need to spend a lot of time on just the athletic capabilities of your voice. And I think so for some for some roles, say for I did last year, I did a Uraufführung, a world premiere of a brand new piece called Ophelia, and it had just been written. It had been written for me. I had no idea how it goes. There's no recording. You can't find your favorite Montserrat Caballé recording of her doing this in 19 whatever with whichever exceptional conductor that you could find. So with that, I spent so much time just tapping out my rhythm. I had to get the rhythm correct, and then it was literally just a question of building the musical blocks. So for that, it just depends on what the opera is. And I think, I would say another thing, if there's something that's incredibly emotional, and I would say this is probably going to be the case with Dido, depending on the staging, but oh God, even if you did really minimalist, absolutely nothing staging, I just think that this music is so moving and the texts are so moving for my character. I think I personally, when I do a character that has a lot of emotion in her, say La Traviata, Violetta, or I recently sang Suor Angelica by Puccini. And both of those women have such a depth of intense pain within them. And Dido, the same. You can't do that in the second when you're on the stage. Or you can, but it has to be controlled, because otherwise this is just going to cut out on you. So for those roles that are very emotional, I think this will be for me, because it's it's about death, and there's a lot of that around. We've had some major losses in my family in the last couple of years, and I fully expect things to come up. So that's a very big part of the preparation process for me, is letting that come through my body, letting my voice crack, maybe I've been to rehearsals, say for Traviata. I remember last year I went to a rehearsal and I said, listen, to the director, I said, listen, I'm going to cry a lot today, FYI, and just let me, I'm going to mark everything, I'm going to sing down the octave, I might even just speak, Because if I sing up high and try to create all of the pitches perfectly, I'm going to kill myself if I allow the full force of my emotions to come through my throat at the same time. It'll be overwhelming. So that's a big part of role preparation if it's a very emotional piece, I would say. How are you preparing for the role of Dido? Valda Wilson, how are you preparing to sing the Queen of Carthage? Look, I'll say it straight up. Dido is very different from a lot of the characters that I've been singing recently, in a sense. She's actually often sung by mezzo-soprani, so a tick lower than me. However, I've got what's called this is a very long instrument, in the sense that I have a really wide range. Like, when I warm up, you can hear from my speaking voice as well, it's relatively low for a sop. I warm up down to a bottom C sharp, C, like down, 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 and all the way up to an F. That is standard. I do that always, every day. I warm up this whole, I mean, look at me. I'm a very long thing, so it makes sense that I should have quite a long instrument. It works. So what I love about singing Baroque repertoire is that you can explore all of your range, and I think that's so exciting. And I can't wait to work with Erin on the variations and what we're going to do. I mean, I don't think you should do too much with Purcell, because it's like perfect little pearls, and I think if we go too wild with the variations, we might lose some of the purity and the directness of the music. But my God, it is so fun. I love doing that in a handle. So lately I've actually been singing a lot of like high Tchaikovsky, high Wagner. I've been doing the Hoyote Hose in Valkyries, super high stuff, high Puccini. And it's actually going to be really nice to come back down and work on this lower part of my range, where I do think this is kind of an advantage in a way that say baritones have, because they sing where they speak in terms of the pitch, and there's a kind of beautiful directness about that, and a real sense of humanity that can then come through. I feel like you can play a lot more with the colors of your words, the fragility of your character and of your own personal everything that you've got going on. I feel like that can often come through more powerfully in this lower part of your range. So for me, when I sing up high, it's very clear and powerful and strong, but I think some of my like fragility will come through more in this lower, more mellow, golden, I hope, part of my instrument. And I'm really enjoying exploring that. It's beautiful. Right. Okay. Pre-performance rituals. Do I have any pre-performance rituals or sort of superstitions? So this question makes me think of a baritone that I studied with at the National Opera Studio in London, and he was so proud of himself. He thought he was so clever, because unlike many people he knew who had particular routines, like they needed an inhaler before a show, or they would pray, or they would I don't know, do like cross-body exercises or something, whatever. Lots of people have little rituals because it is also, I mean, it's proven, right? It is a way to calm your nervous system and remind yourself that you are safe. Which sounds silly, but if you have ever gone out and done public speaking or sung in front of people, you would understand that it is quite challenging for your nervous system. And so anything that you can do to remind yourself to stay is a good thing. Anyway, this man, he thought he was very clever because he didn't have a ritual, and he just did. He's like, I do something different every time. Every time I always do something different. Like, I don't believe in rituals. I don't believe in superstitions. And then one day after an audition, he came to to the studio, and he goes, guys, I've just realized that the fact that I don't have a superstition and the fact that I don't ever do the same thing twice, that's my superstition. I'm scared of doing the same thing twice, because then if I do the same thing twice, if I have this exactly the same coffee order before my audition as I did for the audition I did 3 weeks ago, that's repeating something and it's going to go badly. And I thought that was glorious. Okay, so my big ones, I would say, are, as I mentioned before, I'm a very long animal. And one of my challenges, which has been over the last, 20 years, really, since I finished school and then started studying singing, one of my big challenges has simply been finding a way to feel stable within my body. And so these days, I practice yoga. Surprise, surprise, every singer practices yoga pretty much. But weight-bearing exercise really helps me get into my body, and that makes me feel strong and powerful and ready to do a show and ready to sing these big people and this big music. You need to be strong. Anyone who tells you don't need to be strong, they're lying, and they're trying to sell you something else. So weight-bearing exercise, otherwise I'm just a little bit kind of loosey-goosey when it comes to singing. And it takes me so much longer to warm up. I also have a pretty big meal. Again, that has to do with wanting a sense of groundedness. And then I tend to go through just the basic lines of my role. No artistry, nothing special. Sorry, I hope you can't hear that helicopter. Sorry, it's not for me. Go through the very basic lines of the role with a small position. It's different every day. Sometimes it'll be like an NG, like a or like semi-occluded vocal tract exercises, if you're familiar with that. So things like a V, even just humming, something that is very small airflow, minimal airflow, and just checking minimal airflow and the correct pitch. End of story. Just keeping it really simple, reminding my body exactly where it needs to go with the minimal amount of effort. I don't really have any rituals. Sorry. Although for Suor Angelica, I had a beautiful little, actually I think I've got it here. One of my colleagues from the chorus, she gave me a beautiful little rosary thingy. And I don't know, this is probably not correct, but I didn't have any pockets on my outfit for Suor Angelica, so I actually tucked it inside my brassiere. How do you unwind? How do I unwind after a demanding performance? Yeah. Well, this can actually be really challenging. I do find this hard, and sometimes you can stay awake for hours. Last night, in fact, we had the premiere here of Tchaikovsky's The Maid of Orléans, so the story of Joan of Arc. And I was so revved up after the show, but I just decided to ride it, and I drank lots of Coca-Cola and water, and I danced until 5 o'clock in the morning. However, your calendar does not always permit you to do that after every single show. Premieres are special, so my normal post-show routine is just makeup off, cold shower, actually, in the dressing room, and a big beer in the canteen, complain to the musicians about what went wrong, and then I tend to just head home and try to wind down, because otherwise you can ride that adrenaline spiral right on until dawn if you're not careful. Funny backstage moment. Right. Okay, I have two of these. One is long, one is very short. So in 2011, Maestro Richard Bonning, legend, absolutely gorgeous man, amazing musician. Also, hi Richard, if you're watching, I hope to see you while I'm in Sydney. So he asked me to sing at the memorial service for Dame Jones Southernland in Westminster Abbey. This was just, it came really like a bolt from the blue. I didn't expect this at all. I was just in the Young Artist program at the Semper Oper in Dresden. You know, I was doing well, but not stratospheric success at all. Not at all. And so to be chosen by this, you know, icon was pretty incredible. And I mean, Joan Sutherland has always been a huge inspiration for me. I think she was quite magnificent, just amazing. I'll be singing actually the Hoffman Ladies next season, and I was recently sent a recording of her singing Olympia at the Met, and I just went, oh, yeah, I won't sound like that. But it was incredible. So it was just such an honor to be asked by Richard to sing at this incredible service. And I mean, it was full. Westminster Abbey, full of people, 2,000 people. I sang the Alleluia from Mozart's Esultate Jubilate and Pie Jesu by Fauré, which is super simple to listen to, but any soprano who's tried it, oh, it's so hard. It's so, I find, well, at least for my voice, my God, so challenging. So, you know, and it wasn't just your average orchestra, it was the orchestra from Covent Garden, conducted by Maestro Tony Pappano. I had like, I remember sitting there and I was in these stupid shoes that my dad and I had bought. They were a little bit too tight. And I was like, oh, my shoes are tight and my knees are shaking. And Peter Kattner's sitting opposite me. Peter Kattner, the casting director from Covent Garden. I'm about to sing with the orchestra from Covent Garden, Maestro Richard Bonnings. There, I don't know who else is in this audience, but there are way too many people here and I'm very nervous. Anyway, I pulled it off. And I watched the ABC video footage afterwards, and actually it was pretty good. So sometimes your nerves don't show through quite as much as how you're feeling them. But then we had this official moment afterwards, and I have a photograph which we can show of me actually meeting the then Prince Charles, now King Charles. And I was in the line next to Maestro Pappano, so he shook Maestro's hand, and he obviously knew who he was, right? And then I was practicing my curtsy in my head, and the prince came to me, and he shook my hand, and he said, and he goes, I still messed up the curtsy as I went down. It was kind of a weird sort of like a baby deer kind of going down, and as I'm shaking his hand, he goes, "Ew, you are the singer, were you?" And I was like, I just nearly died out there, man. Like, that was so stressful. And you didn't... Yes, I was the singer, Your Highness. And anyway, he had other things on his mind. And my other moment that I thought of this afternoon was with the role of Fiordiligi, which I sang about 4 years ago, maybe 5, I don't know. With COVID in the middle, I feel like there's this sort of like black hole and stretching of time in the middle of these last 5 years that's kind of made them weirdly all happen at the same time and also happen for eternity. Does anyone know what that is? I don't know. I'd love to hear a physicist's opinion of why it feels like that. So while I was singing Fiordiligi, I got the direction during rehearsals on stage to kick my shoe very dramatically. You know, Fiordiligi is full of emotions and dramatic movements, and I was supposed to kick my shoe across the stage. Anyway, I did, but I must have got like a real bit of schwung with my foot, because that shoe went flying, and it didn't go flying straight. No, it went flying up, like whoop, up to the roof, and it broke a spotlight. So the next day I baked cookies for the technical crew because they weren't happy with me. Okay, why am I excited to come back and sing for Pinchgut again. The Doi. I love singing Baroque repertoire. So my favorites are mostly Handel, Alcina, Cleopatra, Rodelinda, Theodora. I mean, like probably my favorite. I have quite a few CD recordings, but I really think my favorite is the live recording that we got from our performance of Theodora, and those duets with Christopher Lowry and the chorus work, like it's just from another planet. It was so beautifully done, so beautifully recorded, and this gorgeous staging by Lindy Hume. Anyway, I love singing Baroque, and as I said before, I love the way you can play with your whole instrument and the qualities that make you special. You get to choose how you showcase them, and I love that. I think that's really a privilege. It's really a privilege to sing that music. Yeah, plus of course I'm in Australia. I mean, the bulk of my career at the moment is in Germany, and that's very nice, and I'm happy to be here. I sing also sometimes in I've sung recently in Copenhagen and Austria, Switzerland, Japan, and that's great. But it's also really nice to be home in Sydney. That's always going to be special. Yes, and this photo. Okay, so this photograph of me in the Palace of Versailles. Amazing place, incredible. So this was a concert performance of the Valkyries just last month in the Opera in Versailles, and I've sung Helmwege is kind of like a baby Brunhilde. So she gets to sing the theme song, she gets to sing that and a bunch of other high, loud stuff. She's in and out in about 20 minutes. So it's like a mini Brunhilde. It's nice. It's fun. Anyway, so we sang this in concert in the Opera in Versailles, and that was the first time that this epic music has ever been performed there. It was really a incredible privilege, and this photograph was taken by a colleague after the concert when we were able to just wander around the theatre and really take in this incredible place that we were in. I mean, we arrived just that afternoon, had a super quick rehearsal, then immediately hair and makeup, and you're kind of focused on your singing and making sure everything's fine. And then after the show, that was the first time that we really got to just walk around and absorb the venue. It was incredible. So that photograph was from that sort of 2 hours that we had after the show to just take it all in. And right there, I'm sitting right in front of the King's box.